When most people talk about Get Out, they describe it as a horror movie about racism. And while that's true, I don't think that's why the movie scares people. What makes Get Out so unsettling is that it's really a story about ownership, about what happens when people stop seeing someone as a human being and start seeing them as something they can possess. And that's why this movie still feels different years later. One thing I noticed when rewatching Get Out is that almost nobody sees Chris for who he actually is. The party guests don't want to know Chris. They don't care about his interests. They don't care about his life. They're interested in what they think he can provide. Even the compliments feel uncomfortable because they're not really compliments. They're evaluations. Chris is being judged, measured, and discussed without even realizing it. Most people would say the scariest part of Get Out is the surgery or the hypnosis or the sunken place. But for me, the scariest part is realizing that Chris was never viewed as a person by the people around him. By the time he understands what's happening, he's already been reduced to an object, something to be bought, something to be used, something to be controlled. That's terrifying because it strips away the most basic thing we all want, our humanity. That's also why Rose works so well as a villain. Not because she's loud, not because she's violent, but because she gains Chris's trust. The horror doesn't come from her betrayal alone. It comes from realizing that the relationship Chris believed was real never existed the way he thought it did. Everything was a performance, and that's a fear most people can understand. The fear of discovering that someone you trusted wasn't who they claimed to be. And I think that's why Get Out still feels fresh years later. The movie isn't asking us to be afraid of a monster. It's asking us to think about power, control, identity, trust, and what happens when those things are taken away. That's bigger than horror. That's something people connect with whether they watch horror movies or not. Get Out succeeds because it gives us more than scares. It gives us something to talk about, something to think about. And every time I watch it, I find myself noticing something new. Not because the movie changed, but because my perspective changed. And that's usually the sign of a great movie, a great horror movie. And that's just my opinion. What do you think Get Out is really about? Let me know in the comments. And remember, don't play games you can't win. And I'll see you in the next nightmare.